This is Jeremy Wentworth-Stanley. I'm the fellow who has a hyphen in my name. The hyphen is silent, but I am anything but that. We bid you a good morning from Respectonomics. I am Jeremy Wentworth-Stanley, the voice of Respectonomics. Sarah Benton, my co-host, she's away this week, so you have me solo. What we're going to be talking about this morning is, or today, wherever you may be, is the issue of prospecting. And this is under the heading of the new Living Asset series that we're now managing. The living asset, of course, really refers to the human being. And we're particularly focusing on how the living asset within a business, within a corporate entity, who is the living asset? And of course, it's our employees primarily, and that's to whom we will be addressing a lot of our message. The message on prospecting sounds like we'll be talking to potential candidates, potential clients, expanding our markets, the scope of where we sell our products, and so on. And this morning, I want to go over three avenues of prospecting when we're developing new markets. Now, I want to emphasize something. We're talking about an exercise of building relationships. So often in the world of sales, we see the experience of visiting where the message is sort of left dangling and you're not really sure whether you're meant to be buying or selling or holding or what you're meant to be doing. And that's that sort of visiting concept. And the other one, of course, is the peddling, where you feel that you're being peddled unto, where you feel that somehow you're being coerced or manipulated into something. The business we're talking about in prospecting here from a sales perspective or a marketing perspective is one where we believe that developing the breadth and the depth of the relationship means that not only does the product and the service get moved along in a way that is literally appropriate, but also sets the stage for future sales, future marketing endeavors. That's where the relationship is so important. So there are three things that we think are important, I think are important in the prospecting mechanism. And the first one is when I call somebody up, I could even be saying it to you as we speak. And that is, here it is, do you have a minute to speak with me now, please? That may sound like a sort of fairly ordinary introduction. Do you have a minute to speak with me now, please? And the reason for that question is, how many of us are in the middle of something? It may be extremely mundane. It may be something extremely valuable. It may be discussing something with your spouse or with your children or with your doctor. But whatever it is, there's always that risk that the phone call you're getting, the visit you're getting, is in fact intrusive and is interrupting. And what happens is when you feel that you are being intruded upon or being interrupted, your level of attention goes from 0 to 0. Not only that, you will do everything you'll do everything to ward off this person who's intruding. And it can quite often be that the intruder, as we think of that individual, is in fact bringing something extremely useful and valuable to you, but your present circumstance just doesn't give it that sense of priority. So when I am asked, do you have a minute to speak with me now, please? I like the word please. Do you have a minute to speak with me now, please? The great advantage is if I'm in the middle of something, I will actually say, hey, can we talk in 5 minutes, 10 minutes tomorrow morning, whenever it might be? It's a question that's easily answered. It's extremely courteous, and it sets the arrangement so that we have mutually, reciprocally, we have each other's attention. So do you have a minute to speak to me now, please? And the next thing that happens in the sales process is when I'll use me as the salesman, when I am projecting my service or my product to you, I need to be able to prove the defining benefits of it. So, for example, if I was selling you a car, you would want to know what are the defining benefits of this vehicle relative to my needs. I mean, it's fairly straightforward, really. But we don't usually do that. And one of the ways to do it is to ask oneself, how do I verify my information? Meaning, how do I guarantee, not guarantee, but verify my information? How do I back it up for accuracy, consistency, and reliability? Let's look at those three words, accuracy, consistency, and reliability. Because what I need to be able to do is to demonstrate to this candidate, this client, this customer, that I have kept accurate records of how my product or service has worked for other people over the years. So the first thing is, have I kept records of the performance of my product or service? Secondly, what is the consistency being? There's nothing more irritating than buying something that you're told works and find it doesn't. And if in fact you were told beforehand, well, this product isn't or service isn't always consistent, that would be a very significant red flag. So knowing the accuracy, meaning the records have been kept, knowing the consistency, that the product has been consistently reliable and useful and appropriate, that's also beneficial. And the third one is reliability. And reliability, in a way, harnesses both the accuracy and the consistency, but it also does something else. Reliability is a suggestion or an intimation over a period of time. So not only are we saying, yes, we've kept records of this product, service, not only are we saying that its performance has been consistent, but we can validate that it's been over a period of time, maybe over 2 years, 5 years, whatever the market product is. The point of the matter is, how do I verify my information for accuracy, consistency, and reliability? Now, that sounds like, from a sales point of view, a marketing point of view, that sounds like a fairly reasonable approach. But why that approach is so useful is this. Supposing the other person says, well, I disagree because I heard A, B, and C, whatever that is, you have the right to say to that individual, well, how do you verify your information for accuracy, consistency, and reliability? And if they heard it on a newscast at 3 o'clock in the morning, well, that might not be that reliable. It may be that they've heard this same comment over and over again, which would represent the concept of consistency. And they might say, actually, I've been hearing this same piece of information now over a period of 2 or 3 years. So in other words, we have the right, not only, or we have the obligation to demonstrate accuracy, consistency, and reliability, but it is also, without threatening anybody, it's a very useful tool to be able to assess, examine how someone else's information is accurate, consistent, and reliable. And when you get those three elements straightforwardly between the two of us, what happens then is you start building the relationship, and then you can find out whether there's a basis to proceed. In other words, to go to the sale or to go to the market or whatever. Now, the last one is this. Most of us have had that occasion when we're sitting around and we're with somebody we would love to do business with. But it may be somebody who's a relative. It may be somebody who is known to us through our children playing baseball or whatever it would be. But we have a sort of relationship, but we do not have a professional one. And it's very difficult sometimes to be able to bridge the gap between the social and the circumstantial relationship into a professional one. How do you bridge that gap? And one of the questions that is very helpful and distinctly forthright is to be able to say, willing to say to that individual, do you have or would you have any objection to my competing for your business? And the reason that question is so important is, first of all, it is a question and not a statement. Secondly, you're also saying that you want to compete. You're not putting the friendship, the relationship into some sort of why that person should work with you. No, you're saying I need to be able to compete on a level playing field with other people. So that if you're getting excellent service, I need to be able to demonstrate competitively that I can offer the same better service over a period of time. So that's where the competing is. And the third thing is this: I'm also asking for that person's business. Sometimes we get into conversation and it's that old story that we say, well, we never asked for the order, or the order was never asked of us. And the advantage of saying competing for your business is I'm being very clear what I want. I'm not saying I want to go for a ride with you in your car to the airport. I'm saying I want your business. But in order to have your business, I have to be able to compete for it. And I'm asking it as a question. So let's just go over those three components, those three elements again. The first one is, do you have a moment to speak to me now, please? The second one is my capacity, my requirement to verify my information for accuracy, consistency, and reliability. And thirdly, the ability to cross that social threshold and be able to say to someone, would you have any objection to my competing for your business? Now, from a sales point of view, I think we would say these approaches are reliable, they're satisfactory, and they build relationships. But I want to not throw down, I want to put in front of us another possibility in this concept of prospecting. We have talked about prospecting as being expanding our market and expanding our penetration of the market and so on. And that is the same approach that we think at Respectonomics. We think when you look at a living asset, and after all, when you look at a customer is a living asset. The other living asset, of course, is the employee, the member of your team, your staff, the people who follow you. They may, in fact, be people who are above you, if you want to call it above or below, but people with whom we work. We have the right, and as a matter of fact, the obligation to prospect our employees. They are the most valuable capital we have. You know, we hear that word human resources, and I have an issue with that expression in the sense that a resource usually is thought of copper, lead, zinc, and in today's world, rare metals, but the rare earth metals. But what I want to say is the most important resource we have is the human being. As a matter of fact, we don't call it human resources, we call it the human treasury. And I think we should be able to go to the human treasury and to be able to advance our relationship with that treasure, either in the form of a deposit or in the form of withdrawals. Let's take a look at how we do that, though. We just said we need to be able to prospect a customer. What about prospecting our employees? What about going up to the employee and having a conversation that does start with, do you have a minute to speak with me now, please? And one of the critical points behind that is that, first of all, you're gaining the full attention of that other individual. Do you have a minute? Yes. But this other thing is this: we are speaking with the employee, with the staff member, with the director, with the supervisor, with the manager, whoever it is. But we're speaking with. We're not talking about emails. We're not talking about social media. We're not talking about screens. We're not talking about AI. We're talking about the essential grounding of a human being, which is communication. We are designed to communicate with one another, and we do that through words. We do that through speech. Do you have a minute to speak with me now, please? That is an approach that the manager can use with every member of their team. And as I say, whether it's the employee, the supervisor, or the director, the same principle applies. Do you have a minute to speak with me now, please? Then we come into this business of our information. And how often have we almost felt that we are, let's say, as employees, we're in a place where we're being coerced or we're being pressed into doing something? How much more valuable if, in fact, let's say the manager, we'll just keep this to a manager and a employee, how much more effective would it be If the manager says, over a period of time, we have noticed A, B, and C, whatever that might be, but we have kept records of what has been going on. Secondly, not only have we kept the records, but we have seen this consistent pattern. So this isn't just a shot in the dark. This is something that really has happened consistently. And thirdly, it's happened over a period of time. It's happened over a year or 2 years or 3 years. So we are verifying our information as employers to the employee for accuracy, consistency, and reliability. And the reverse applies. If, for example, the employee is talking to the manager or the director, why not be able to say, I am in a position to verify my information to you for accuracy, consistency, and reliability? It's a three-way test and it develops relationships. It's not accusatory, but it's a building, it builds capacity, it builds innovation, it builds relationship, it builds productivity. And the last one is this. We go to the market, we go to the customer, and we say, would you have any objection to my competing for your business? I suppose it sounds a little bit almost out of order for a manager to say to the employee, would you have any objection to my competing for your business? But the principle is in fact identical, that we need to be able to go to that other person, not in the sense of just because we're in the same organization, just because there's a hierarchy, just because somebody is paid more or less than the other person. That all goes to the side. What comes to the forefront is the ability to compete, the ability to demonstrate that we have the defining benefits that will be of advantage to that other individual. And if I can prove to you that I can successfully compete for your business as a customer, think how valuable that is when we say, I want to compete for your business as an employer or as an employee. It's a fabulous start to a relationship that goes into the integrity. That's a big word, isn't it? Integrity. But I'm not using any other coercive or demonstrative other approach other than to say, defining benefits, I have the accuracy, I have the consistency, I have the reliability. You've agreed that you have time to chat with me now, and I would like to compete for your business in a manner that is going to allow us to expand, to be innovative, productive, in fact, to bring about a greater return from all the work that we do on a day-to-day, minute-by-minute basis. There it is. We prospect the market, we prospect our employees. Our employees, our people in our organization, are living assets. And what we're doing is bringing life to those assets. We're trying to say to that asset, it's alive, it's valuable, it's worthwhile, and let's do it together. My name's Jeremy Wentworth-Stanley. I'm the voice of your voice of Respectonomics, and I rest my case.